Hello neighbors. Hello, hi. Happy Monday. Welcome. It's been a while. Got a little break. We always take since I guess last year we started doing this, where at the end of budget season, we skipped the first meeting in July just because of holidays, and we've all been working hard through budget season, so we take a break. So it's been a month since I've seen you all, so hi, and welcome. Thanks for being here. We've got a few things on our agenda. The biggest thing of which will be this buddy. Oh, there's my card. It doesn't need to be there. All right. There we go. Parks and Rec Master Plan. Yay! So exciting! This is just the draft where, we are getting the presentation tomorrow in our work session, which, by the way, we are starting our work session tomorrow. We typically start at 5 o'clock. We're starting at 4:30 just because this thing is like 120 pages long. Obviously, they're not going to go through it word for word, but we're going to hit the highlights. Jeffrey Graby, our Parks and Rec manager, will be there. I think some Parks and Rec committee, citizen advisory board members will be there, potentially to provide feedback or answer questions. And then Kimley Horn, who is the planning consultant that we hired to help us with this, they are going to be there to kind of go through and, like I said, do the highlights. These are in, if you want to read the document in full, it has been scanned in on redbanktn.gov under our agenda and minutes for the work session meeting for tomorrow. So if you want to actually look at that document, download it to your computer, that's where you're gonna go to do that. So that's gonna be really great. We're gonna get to hear about all the feedback that we got from survey respondents, demographic information, and then information about what people most requested, what they want to see in our parks and recreation spaces, what we need to expand upon, and then they're going to go into the actual public properties that we own, and as well as the undeveloped properties where there's potential to expand into these spaces in the parks and recreation arena. So going to be really awesome and helpful if you're interested in that. And I think a lot of people are. We had a lot of respondents for our survey. They said it was really surprising how many people responded. Individual responses, we had 883 responses. So their expectation was 600. So we far exceeded that. So yay! Thank you, Red Bank, for showing up. So that's going to be a big part of our work session tomorrow. We're not going to actually vote on the plan until probably the first meeting in August, which I think is August the 6th. So just keep an eye out for that date. And then I skipped number 1. Sorry about that. I was just excited to share that report with you guys. But the first item will actually just be recognizing our city manager, Martin Granum, because he officially became certified as a certified municipal finance officer, which was like a whole long course and program that he had to take. He had to go through multiple classes. He had to take exams. Our former CFO, John Alexander, was certified, but now we have Leslie Johnson, who's our Director of Community Development. She's certified. Martin is now certified. And then Tracy Perry, our Director of Administration, City Recorder, Human Resources, everything. She wears all the hats. She is in the process of getting certified as a municipal finance officer. So we're going to have a lot of really awesome experts on our team, that will really help us with budget and financial excellence, as we continue on in the coming years. So, number 3, we are going to proclaim July 19th as Parks and Rec Professionals Day. And right now, this is something that I don't want to spoil this, but there's some data points that are in that Parks and Rec presentation that we're going to hear about, where they compare like the number of staff that we have to, you know, national statistics, and like what's the lower quartile, median quartile, how much we budget for, what resources our Parks and Rec department have. We're going to have that data point compared to, you know, national averages. And there was something else, I'm spacing on that right now. But in any case, Jeffrey Graby right now is our only Parks and Recreation professional. But we do actually have a part-time Parks and Recreation program assistant position that's just been posted to the website. So if you or someone you know might be interested in that, you can go to redbanktn.gov and apply for that position. So we will soon have 1.5 professionals to recognize in that department. Item number 4 is an update to our Wrecker fee schedule. At our last meeting in June, we voted on a first reading. We had a first reading and vote on updating our Wrecker Ordinance. It's kind of tedious, guys. I'm not really going to dive into it. If you want, you can watch and listen to the conversation we had at the end of June. But with that, we just had to update some fee schedules just because it hadn't been updated in several years, and didn't account for like inflation and modern, you know, fee, the cost of Wrecker services. So we're just updating that, as well as having our second and final reading and vote on the ordinance tomorrow. All right, number 5. We are appointing a new member to the nonprofit board. We had someone step down, so we had one opening. That is a special board where we only have 6 members on that board. Just because all of our other citizen advisory boards can have up to 10 members, but that one we kept at 6 just because too many voices can get a little chaotic in certain spaces. So we limited that one to 6. And Freddie Hanner, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with that name, he has owned an insurance business here in Red Bank for years and years and years. He used to be in the same building strip where the meeting house is, but he had to move spaces, and now he's across the street in the former White Star Cleaners building. And so he's been there for a little while now, but he has, you know, his little food truck that he always brings to our Christmas parades and our jubilees, and he's just he doesn't live in Red Bank, but he is super involved in our community and invested in our community, and so we were really excited to have him apply to be a part of our nonprofit board. So we'll be voting on that tomorrow. Item number 6, this one's a little tedious. I'm going to try not to get bogged down with the details, but it's to authorize a contract addendum number 1 with Barge Design Solutions for professional services to provide a public works facility building program study. Blah, lots of words. Basically, we've contracted with them. There was an RFP put out some time ago. They were chosen. At that time, they met the criteria and everything, and they did a phase 1 of the study, the facility study of our public works facility. They have already completed that. Now they're ready to move into phase 2, and that's going to consist of some additional pieces. So they're going to be looking at like environment efficiencies, like the actual space that the current facility is on, feasibility of like what kinds of buildings can go there, what kinds of other structures can go there, how we might have to coordinate with like the TVA utility that runs kind of through part of that property, and things like that. And then there's actually something that they call 30% design, and it's where they will do some initial design work, and that will lead into the next phase, which is where they will expand out to do like a full design study. But so this is going to be paid for through American Rescue Plan funds that were already allocated in spring of 22, and it is not to exceed $210,000. So you can hear more about that tomorrow. Leslie will be much better at explaining all of the finer details of that. But just, you know, suffice it to say that it's paid for with the ARPA funds that have already been allocated, and it's to help us just get to that next step of where we can actually incorporate facility renovation into a capital improvement plan that we are currently in progress on establishing. All right, number 7, this is our third to last item. This is a short and sweet one. This is to approve the temporary use of right-of-way behind Red Bank Baptist Church. This is on Bank Street that runs behind Red Bank Baptist Church. They just have some aging stairs back there, and they want to do some construction work to remove those stairs and build an accessible ramp, a wheelchair ramp, but they can't do that without blocking part of that road, so they're going to use some, they had to request formally of us to use right-of-way temporarily while they're constructing that ramp. So that's all that is. So we'll be talking about that and voting on that tomorrow. Item number 8 is approval of the purchase of bike-safe stormwater grates. We actually approved the purchase of some of these back in, I believe it was April, because we have some stormwater grates that the openings are parallel, parallel with the road. And so when somebody's riding their bike, it could very easily get caught in one of those openings and potentially cause them to wreck their bike or have injuries. So we ordered some, and they've replaced a few of them. And this was just to They didn't order all of them at first because they were hoping that there would be a way that we could maybe use the old vents and kind of retrofit them to work, and that just wasn't going to be possible. So now we are voting to purchase the remaining number of grates that we need to replace the ones throughout the city, and that is 29 grates, and that's going to be at a cost of $22,540. And that was budgeted for in our Public Works Department budget that we just passed. So that'll be coming out of that, and that protects our city from liability so that somebody doesn't get injured and then decide to sue the city. And these are things that we have to think about, and they're not fun or exciting to talk about, but they cost us taxpayer dollars if we don't take care of these things proactively. So, and that's number 8. And then the last item, I am so excited about this, guys. This is a beer board hearing for Jared Most, who is representing the Meeting House, and they are going to be applying for a beer permit, request to serve beer on premise at the Meeting House. So I'm really excited to see this and to hear about this. I know some years ago they had actually applied, but back then we had those distance restrictions in place that prevented businesses that were a certain number of feet, close to a church or a daycare or a school, could not get a beer permit. So they were not able to get one at that time. And since we have modernized and revised our beer and liquor ordinances, they are now able to apply for that permit, which will, if it's voted on and passed, will give them an additional leg up in their, products that they serve, their profits, which then turn into sales tax revenue for us. So this is a win-win for everybody. And I'm just excited to see it and hear from them tomorrow. And that's it. That's all we got. So thank you for joining me tonight, friends. We're going to, again, in case you missed it at the beginning of the meeting, tomorrow's work session is starting at 4:30 instead of 5. Because of that presentation, it's going to take a little bit longer than what we would typically have on the agenda. And yeah, and just a little shout out in case you don't ever actually watch the meetings. We have our community movie night this Friday. We're going to be watching Finding Nemo at the Red Bank Community Center, and we're going to have free popcorn, and a Culturalicious food truck is going to be there serving dinner. You can buy dinner, and then Clumpy's ice cream truck is going to be there for dessert. And it's going to just be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you guys there. That's this Friday at 7 o'clock at the Red Bank Community Center. And otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow at the Red Bank City courtroom. Good night.